This is a sensitive topic.
Ian Garry,
Bro, that shit's crazy.
His wife came out with How to Be a Wag.
So it looks like Ian Garry got knocked the hell out this week.
Of course, Ian Garry's on the front of everybody's lips, and we're going to talk about him and his insecurities revealed by his wife.
I literally just put together a bunch of pieces of a puzzle and said, this is fucking weird. And everyone seemed to unanimously agree.
Things just got a lot weirder when it comes to the Ian Garry situation. All I have to say is, it's very interesting.
I look at you like a victim. I don't want it, but if that's what you want, you know where to find me, man.
Obviously, we've had Ian Garry in the studio. We've done a few videos with him now. He's beating the shit out of us.
He beat the shit out of you.
Well,
that was just scary to watch, to be honest.
I was fully
scary.
and totally
He
unprepared.
was just slapping you.
for that whole
Well,
thing.
you dug your own grave, mate, when you tried to like reverse him.
I thought, well, no, I was just trying to be funny.
It
Because
was funny.
he said something about like, oh, and guys will try and get to their stomach at this point. So I was like, yeah, why not?
Maybe he'll hip bump. Maybe he'll try to get me up. He'll try to get me off. All of that changes the second you add in one slap. Because don't try to cheat the system.
But I also got out of Ian Garry's mount, so fuck you guys.
You didn't know.
I did.
You didn't.
Rolled to the back. So
You already
Yeah,
had.
but I mean,
Yeah,
but then he
true.
just slapped you in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't sleep well for
Some
quite a few
people
nights after
think
that.
that that's a worse position. Like,
A lot of people would say that, yeah. But anyways, needless to say, we've done a few episodes with Ian. He's come into the studio and he's very cordial. But however, he's made quite an impression with the MMA fans, and specifically this sort of make or break moment against Luque, because this is the most dangerous fight Ian Garry has ever faced.
well, this is also a guy he's been training with. A guy, when he was here in this studio, I was sat opposite him and I said to him, what's more dangerous? Like his front headlock series or his left hook? Because like he's been training with him. So he's felt the full extent of like both of those things. Everything Luque has to offer. I'm sure they've been like exchanging techniques. So not only is it like a really difficult fight, but every element of surprise that you have, which Ian has talked about before, like he talks about how he's faster than what people think. All of that's gone. There is no element of surprise now. Definitely the hardest fight Ian Garry's ever had. Ian Garry's only been a pro for like 3.5 years as well.
And you're not just dealing with Luque and the task at hand as well. You're also dealing with, currently at the moment, going through a really vicious landscape in regards to his like personal life as well. Like it's no secret that, you know, Guru has made that video about him, and then obviously that blew up, and now he's facing the weight of the world on his shoulders. I mean, all you need to do is go onto Twitter, Instagram, and look at his social media following, and it's
so
getting bombarded
personal as well.
Yeah,
It's not like people taking the piss out of you because like you think you're better than you are, or you're chatting a big game and you're not having the results in the cage. It's like they're going after his family and just like absolutely ridiculing like the other person in his life that he spends every single day with, seemingly. And it's like, it's so strange how so many people are quick to latch on to be like ultra negative because he's Irish, because he checks a big game and feels like he's a little bit in the shadow of Conor McGregor and he's trying to replicate something. It's like people are so happy to bombard on that person until he has a performance where people forget about that and get back to what actually is important. But he finishes fights. He has entertaining fights, and he's been very active, and he's done his job well.
Why don't people like him? Because the truth is people hate him. So why don't they like it?
People hate people in MMA all the time, and then they change their minds all the time. That's just a natural part of the sport. How many people loathed Colby Covington and now absolutely love him? Like even people, not that long ago, people hated Khamzat Chimaev for the whole weight debacle, and everyone loves Khamzat Chimaev again. Like Ian Garry could have a great performance and then everyone could go back to loving him. Like this is how the sport works in so many ways. Like so much about it is polarizing to one extreme or the other, and whatever emotion you're going to feel for a fighter in either capacity, if it's extreme, then that's usually a good sign. If it's extremely bad or extremely good, that's usually only a good sign that that person is doing something within the sport that is different, that they are like sending shockwaves out with whatever performances or whatever things they're saying. So I think it's up and down all the time. It's up and down right now for Paddy, you know, like Paddy could have a great performance and win everything back as well. So I don't think this is really that abnormal to have happened. I feel like we've had lots of moments in history where people have gone after people, and people have gone after people on a personal level as well. But even if it's just bandwagoning, you know, even when like Conor McGregor said, "I'll rest my nuts on your forehead," and everyone's just laughing at Chad Mendes for like 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck has Chad Mendes done? Like, he can't help the fact he's that small and he happens to be one of the best fighters on the planet. So it's literally, you know, bandwagoning behind your favorite person.
I think it is a lot of bandwagoning, just because your end is just some shit talk that you think is slightly funny, whether you find that shit funny or not. But it's like they're not seeing the other side of it, where it's like you're one guy making a comment, but there's also thousands of you doing that at the same time.
How difficult is this for a young new prospect to be going into the biggest fight of his career on, honestly, probably one of the biggest cards of the year, and not only have the pressure of fighting absolute fucking chaos demon, but also having the weight of the world on your back due to some sort of like personal issue.
The thing is, because it's become such a big thing in the MMA sphere, there are so many eyes on Gary now. The fact that when he does win, he only has more people to convert to his following, his fan base.
It's got so bad that he's disabled comments on his Instagram, where he can't post anything to Instagram without someone calling him like a cuck or like he's a bitch, despite being literally one of the most fucking terrifying people on the planet in regards to what that guy can actually do to you. So that'll rip you limb from limb.
Ian's the kind of person that I feel like would do that.
Absolutely.
As well. Like, he's a fucking...
Like, I remember when we went and filmed with him and he faked a jab and a calf kick and I shat myself. Just because it's just like to an actual fighter, it's like second nature. They don't even think about it. Whereas like you're watching, it's like...
Yeah, but I wouldn't worry about Wonderboy beating me up. I feel like Ian Garry actually loves violence.
Well, no, he told us, doesn't he? He's like, I love fighting.
He would enjoy it.
It's literally a terrifying, terrifying man.
Most people don't form their own opinions on the internet. They have their people that they follow, and the circles that they operate in. And then when one person adopts an opinion, you usually just champion the opinion of everybody else, and it's just the loudest voice on the internet. And that's generally how it works. But I also think, like, it's not that bad. Ian's maybe he's disabled comments, but like, it's not like when Rashad Evans got goldfished by Lyoto Machida and everyone is posting a picture of him knocked out unconscious. Not only has he lost his championship and lost for the first time ever, but he got knocked out in an embarrassing way and everyone is slandering you across the internet. I think that's way worse than someone like going after your personal life. It's bad, but like, Ian's still an undefeated fighter.
But this is what I'm saying, why it's really stacked for him this weekend. Because if he does get KO'd in the way that fucking Rashad Evans got KO'd, and he's also got this personal shit on top of him, I bet you it's going to be 100 times worse.
Yeah, probably for a week, and then I think people will leave him alone.
I don't think so.
No.
Go on Ben Askren's fucking Twitter and look at everything Ben Askren ever fucking posts, and underneath it you'll see a KO of Jake Paul knocking him
Your
out.
self-belief is like, it needs to be rock solid when going into a fucking cage fight. You don't need strangers surmising you to just a few words.
Well, it's exactly what's happening with Paddy Pimblett at the moment. It will be really fascinating to watch that press conference on Thursday as well and see how these guys like Ian Garry, like Paddy Pimblett perform on that night. Because the truth is, Paddy Pimblett, otherwise he's always been such a loud fucking guy and he'll always shit talk his opponent. It will be an occasion that he's fighting. But actually, on the build up to this, it is the most quiet we've ever seen Paddy, because he's had a fucking terrible year. And one of the main reasons that he quotes to make it so terrible is the fact that everyone shat on him after his fight with Jared Gordon. And he struggled to handle it. Now imagine being Ian Garry as well, and you've had the year that he's already had, and he's moving up that ladder, and he's actually doing the things that he's saying that he's doing, only to meet his toughest fucking challenge in Luque. And then all of a sudden, you have the weight of this personal fucking explosion on you as well. Because the truth is, it's like, that's all anyone was fucking talking about for ages.
Yeah, it's true. It also didn't help that there was nothing else going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And also for Paddy, you know, he's probably quite happy that there's not all this attention on him this weekend right now. I mean, there's some, but like you said, the narrative's kind of going in different directions. It's strange what people will forgive and what they won't. Like John Jones doing all the shit he did.
Yeah.
Or like, people don't really care, do they? But then just like a couple of...
I think it's the problem within MMA as well, when your manhood is brought into question as well, and you are a fighter, that is your entire identity. For a lot of people who are watching you on TV, it's like, oh, you're the fighter. But if your manhood is brought into question as a fighter as well, that's got to be double, triple the amount of pressure as well. I would have thought so.
It's only being brought into question by those groups of people, though, that have never been in. Like, if you go to an MMA gym, like, everyone's obviously very hard. Everyone's really respectful. No one's trying to be like a man or like be alpha. They're like the least, probably like if you tried to insult someone about that, they wouldn't really give a shit because they're so like comfortable in who they are. So it's just like all the people that think that they can insult people that way are people who would be insulted by something like that because they haven't got, you know.
It's a bad spot for both of them to be in. And it's interesting that we are in that situation when you do have these two prospects where there is a lot to question there, and the weight is on those two guys more so than it's ever been on any other prospect. And is that also the problem about being the McGregor, the outspoken fighter these days, that because everything is so heavily put online and everything is circulated so much, there is these little things from people's past that they can go, oh, I'm going to cherry pick this, I'm going to fucking blow that out of proportion and make that an issue.
I think there's such a thing of like contrarianism as well, is that people are desperately waiting to like say the opposite of something. Like when something small comes out like that, it's like they can latch onto that, and then it's like they're validated because they feel better that they've finally got something to complain about.
I mean, like, we're going to find out because people will comment on this video, but it's like, how big of a portion of the fan base do you think is that vocal portion that's doing?
I don't know. I think a lot of younger men coming up in the world got really fucking bored of what they could and they couldn't say. And I think what you're seeing right now is a rise of young men in a counterculture who are bored of being told what they can and can't do. For a long period of time, we went through an online cycle of people being cancelled for almost fucking nothing. That actually a lot of people were like, fuck that guy, and then you never saw them again. And I think this
isn't cancel culture. This is like
this is what I'm saying. This is the rise against cancel culture.
Opposite, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So what you're seeing is the counterculture of being cancelled is on the rise, and you have loads of people out there that may or may have not done really fucked up things and have been called out for it, and now are going, actually, do you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to keep doing what I want to do. And actually, I think there is a large portion of people that go, do you know what? Yeah, fuck that. I'm not going to just wither away into the darkness. I'm going to say and do what I want to do. And that is evident in guys like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's like, actually, fuck this. I'm not an advocate of Andrew Tate at all. I'm just saying that he is the manifestation of years of young men being told you can't say and do whatever you want anymore. And I think there's a lot of people knocking on that door and being like, yes, fucking what? Yes, I can. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I'm not the one to tell you that. But that is what is happening.
That's even breaking into the UFC now with people like Sean Strickland. The fact that he is using gay as a slur still, and he's using misogynistic fucking values and language all the time. It's like I think he's got some very normal, traditional American values, which is fine. I think they're just, obviously in his brain, in his world, he's exaggerated them to a point where maybe not everything flies the same way. But it's exactly that, is that he believes this, and this is what this is, like it or lump it, basically. I think a lot of people are being enabled by that in the MMA sphere because they can relate to Sean. They like that he just speaks his mind. And then they feel like, because he's saying it and he's the champion, they're validated to just like, we're fans of him. This is a normal thing that happens in the UFC now. And now we're all just going to talk like this.
And I think like MMA for so long has been such a masculine sport that any signals of emasculation in that sport is now being attacked as well. It's just like, no, this is a man's sport. We don't want to be emasculated. And actually, I think that's being poured on people like Ian Garry.
That's the thing. I think that's another problem that a lot of people picked up on, which won't touch the social media side, but is the fact that he's getting kicked out of all gyms all the time. Like, he's not a good teammate. And obviously, some people praise him for having that nomadic, traveling around, getting all the knowledge you can. But then other people don't like the fact that he's kind of taking bits from everywhere, not sticking to the rules at certain gyms, just taking what he wants, doing his own thing. But that's the thing, is Luque is, I assume, still at Sanford. Whereas he's gone places like Shooter Box, and he was at Renegade. I mean, maybe Luque's game, maybe the reason he's getting finished now is because his game has stayed the same and people know how to counter that.
Have you got T99, mate?
What's that?
Have you got $2.99?
I do, yeah.
It's not enough for a meal deal, is it?
What is it enough for?
It's enough for a membership here, though, at the MMA On Point YouTube channel.
And what does that get you?
It gets you access to the unedited version of this podcast.
It was very, very stiff, that.
Yeah.
You can watch this podcast 2 times a week by becoming a member.
It's almost like someone's got a gun to your head and they're forcing you to say that.
Only $2.99.
Who's forcing you to say this?
If you pay a bit more, you can come in on the writers' meetings.
Are you okay?
You
What's
can do
happening?
what?
We come up with ideas for the channel.
Link if you need
Yeah,
help.
you okay? What's happening?
This is like John
What's
C. Reilly.
Layla said to you?
yeah. Is she making you do this?